All right, y'all, let's go ahead and get it started. The hype machine starting to begin already for the Sooners. And Joe Klatt had some things to say about the Sooners. Let's watch it and talk about it. Coming up here in about 10 seconds. What's good, everybody? It's your boy Jay here with Unfair Sports, where we take a pensive approach to the sports conversation. And in this video, we're going to talk about Joel Klatt over at Fox Sports. And he had some things to say about Oklahoma coming next season. And so let's dive right in, shall we? Joel has some positive things to say about the Sooners coming up. He's spoken very highly on Coach Brent Venables. He's spoken very highly on the things that the coaching staff is doing. And then on his show last week, I think it was either Thursday or Friday, he had a couple things to say around where he sees Oklahoma's going to end up next year. And so, to be honest, this is what I've been saying this whole time, but I'm glad to see that we have some national talking heads begin that. But at the same time, it makes me a little nervous because once you start getting the hype machine going, you know, there's always a chance for disappointment, and all of you will get mad at me. Well, not all of you, but you know what I mean. Well, I'll be all disappointed or whatnot. But let's take a look at what Joel Klatt had to say about the Sooners. First off, potentially being a top 10 team.
Oklahoma, I considered in the top 10. And you might be thinking to yourself, really? Oklahoma in the top 10? Yeah. Oklahoma in the top 10. I considered them. For the reason that they just lost a ton of close games. There was really only 2 games that they got blown out. And by the way, in both of those games, they basically lost their quarterback. Either he was knocked out of the game, Dylan Gabriel against TCU, or didn't play in the Texas game. And then when he was on the field, what did they do? Played 1 possession games. Unfortunately, they lost them all. They were like the direct opposite of what TCU was this year. TCU was a team that when they got into a close game, they ended up winning that close game. And here's Oklahoma 0-5 in 1-score games. So here's an Oklahoma team that won 6 games, and then they were 0-5 in 1-score games. That easily flips. And when you're talking about possibly being in the top 10, so I'm talking about top 12 teams in the country or better at the end of the year, what do all those teams have in common? Generally speaking, they have 10 or more victories. And I think Oklahoma could be in that category. They're a team that could climb very easily. This is a team that under Brent Venables has done a great job in recruiting. And with Dylan Gabriel back and healthy, I just don't see a reason why Oklahoma can't improve dramatically, win some of those close games, and be a 9-10, maybe even 11-win team.
So a 9-10 or 11-win team. That tells me that he really thinks that Oklahoma has a chance of possibly winning the Big 12 next season, the second year that Brent Venables is there. Now, I'm not saying that it's a guarantee. We don't throw guarantees out here. We do speculate and we do analyze. And one of the things that I have said about the way the team has played this past season is really onefold, and we'll have a really more in-depth end of season conversation. Me and Coop will probably put together a podcast episode for this week. Is really one thing, and that's the defense looks like it's going in the right direction. They've got certain stats that are key to a Brent Venables defense, and now he's adding additional players, and certain players are leaving, and other players that he wants can start playing. You're going to see a lot of those numbers completely shift, increase, and still be productive. I mean, those tackles for losses is huge to me because that's been the big thing about his defense is getting back there and getting those tackles for loss. And you also got to have consistency with that. Team was one consistent. So keep that in mind with that coming up this year. As I've tried to told y'all this whole time, I understand being upset and being bothered by what's on the field and the product today, but these aren't the players that are needed. The offense was still humming because they hum. Remember, top 13 offense in the country. The defense, which was top 70, which is kind of surprising, they have some work to do. So, and we're going to see that based upon what we're seeing in the transfer portal as well as the product that we should put out next season with the new players that are coming in. So, outside of that, Klatt had some thoughts on where Oklahoma who they could be next year. Now, this one was interesting to me, and I hope y'all continue to tune in. You can jump in the comments real quick. Let me know your thoughts on Oklahoma potentially being a top 10 team and Klatt potentially throwing me in his preseason top 10 coming up next year. Give me your thoughts. We'd love to get your feelings on that in the comments. So comment right now. From here, let's jump into what Joel Klatt has to say about what Oklahoma could potentially look like next season.
My last climber, and it's a team that I already touched on earlier, and they also fit into a separate category. And this is really the team that I think we should all watch out for in the offseason. That's Oklahoma. They won 6 games. I already told you earlier they were 0-5 in one-score games. All they have to do is start winning close games, which they should do, and they're easily a 10-win team, maybe an 11-win team. And if they're an 11-win team, in particular in the regular season, 11-1, they would be playing for the Big 12 championship game. And if you're playing for the Big 12 championship game at 11-1, guess what? You're probably vying for a playoff spot. And if you're vying for a playoff spot, guess what? You are next year's TCU. So if we're looking for a team that is next year's TCU style, make a run to the playoff, maybe even the national championship game, I'm looking at Oklahoma. Because in that conference, you have to understand, everybody is mashed together. One of the reasons we got a TCU this year was that a team with a veteran presence, a very good quarterback, some good talent on the outside, they started winning those close games. That's exactly what TCU did. 5 of them, I believe, one-score games. They started winning those games, and it perpetuated upon itself, and then all of a sudden they wind up in the Big 12 championship game. And because of let's face it, kind of a wild year where Tennessee goes down for a second time, Alabama goes down for a second time, all of a sudden you look up, Clemson as an ACC champ is not getting in the playoff, and there's TCU in the playoff. That absolutely is the avenue that I see next year's Oklahoma Sooners. I think Brent Venables is a heck of a coach. I really do. I think this year was a ridiculously difficult situation to try to come in and succeed. And in large part, that's why they lost those close games. They will be better in a conference where just a little improvement takes you from 6 to 10 because you're not trying to jump big boys. This is not like Penn State saying like, well, we got to go conquer Michigan and Ohio State. This is not like Michigan State saying, okay, well, we're going to get to 10. Okay, who are you beating in your division? This is not like Auburn saying, okay, like we're going to be a climber. Who are you beating in your division? Okay, you see where I'm going with this. So part of this from Oklahoma and my belief in Oklahoma is that in that conference, you get a little bit better and you're going to separate yourself from the entirety because parity rules the day in the Big 12. TCU just proved that. So next year's TCU is Oklahoma. And my 4-team climbers are Colorado, Nebraska, Texas A&M, and Oklahoma, in a big tip of the cap to the former Big 12.
So as Klatt is talking there, 1-possession games, 5 of them we lost this past season, and that tells us everything we need to know about what the team can be. They just got to win those games, got to close. We didn't have the consistency on the defensive side, so what have we seen in this recruiting class, as well as what we have seen coming from the transfer portal? A lot of defensive guys, and then we've been filling up the players that we're losing like to the draft, getting some offensive linemen, which is good, with Walter Rouse and then Caleb Schaefer on the line, and adding in a receiver, Indrell Anthony, which we probably will add another receiver to go with him to replace, like the Marvin Mims and then the Theo Weeks is going. And then the young players coming up. We're doing nothing but adding the pieces and components that are needed to be successful long term. And so I appreciate Joel Klatt continuously going to bat for Oklahoma. I think he just has a very strong affinity for Brent Venables, and I still appreciate that as well because even though this is Brent Venables' first rodeo as the head guy, the man's got a lot of experience under great coaches. And so he has an understanding of what is required in order to be a great coach. It's not like he just, and the thing is not like he decided to take a head coaching job at any program. He decided that if I'm going to take a head coaching job because of how well I've done in my career as defensive coordinator, it's going to be one that's going to be meaningful. No point in me just going to take a job to say I got a job. That's what he's doing here. And so, Sooner fans, I hope you are stoked and excited. I hope you're excited about this class. Go ahead and take these comments with a grain of salt, or you could taper your expectations. But to be honest, there is a very good chance this team, with the experience we have, with the players we have, and the players that we're adding, we could probably win at least 10 games next season. And I promise you, a 10-win season, yeah, y'all should be so stoked about that, all right? So, thank y'all for pulling up. Hop in the comments. Let your boy know what you think. Hit the like, subscribe, and bell notification. I have another video dropping first thing in the morning about our Gatorade Player of the Year. Recorded that the other day, and I'm going to go ahead and put her down. So, thanks for tuning in. Talk to you soon. Probably in a few hours or so. Peace.